Okay, so the Webster's Dictionary defines wedding as the fusing of two metals with a hot flame. Well, you know something? I think you guys are two metals. Good metals. For those of you that are confused, I apologize and I'll pray for you. Anyway, but before I wanted to talk about Joseph and Mariah, I wanted to bring up an analogy my dad told me when I was in middle school. For some reason, it stuck with me forever. So he told me once that becoming a priest is like getting married to the church. And as your resident expert on seminary, don't look at all of it, I would like to extend that analogy further to Joseph and Mariah. You see, there's these 4 pillars that have known to be used in seminary. They're pillars of priestly formation. Am I getting this right? I hope I'm getting this right. Okay. And so the first pillar I wanted to talk about is the human pillar. And it deals with community and health. One thing I've always envied about Joseph is that he has objectively the best looking body of any of the brothers. But it's not just physical health that you can take pride in. It's the health in his relationships with people. There's one story I'll always remember when I was in first grade. My mom likes to do a lot of yard work, and I wasn't very helpful back then. So she would have us come out to the yard after she'd finished working to pick up the tools. And on this one day, me and Joe were sent down to pick up shovels and rakes. And I saw a rake, a metal fork rake, sitting with the prongs face up. And in this brilliant moment, I was reminded of Looney Tunes when they would step on rakes and the handle would hit them in the face. So I was like, what would be funny is if I stepped really hard on this rake. And I was barefoot. It didn't hit me in the face. It didn't go through my foot, but it cut it pretty bad. And I can't remember if Joe was laughing or not, but I do remember that he almost immediately helped me up, carried me all the way back to the house, got Mom and Dad to pour hydrogen peroxide on it and stuff. And then he sat with me on my bed for about 3 hours, building Lego robots and fighting with them. And that was probably one of the best days that I can remember in my childhood. And it was one of the most painful at the same time. And I felt like that sort of encapsulates Joseph's willingness to be compassionate in his relationships. He felt no guilt to help me. He just gave himself to me to make my day better. And I don't know, I felt like that encapsulated it. I said that word already. Anyway, so the second pillar is spiritual formation, and this one's easy. I mean, look at him. The hair. I'm pretty sure that studying abroad was just 40 days fasting in the desert for Joseph, but looking like Jesus doesn't necessarily, mean that you're holy. It's in, the actions that they perform. And I can't attest to what Joseph and Mariah have done in Badger Catholic. I'm sure it's all amazing. But I can attest to what they have done in those days I've been able to spend with them at home. The last few years, every time Joseph has come home and I've been able to spend, a few months with him, every single night, no matter how late we stay up, no matter what we do, he'll stop and he'll pray a rosary right before he goes to bed. And Mariah, over, I think it was Christmas, you were making that rosary, but it was 5 rosaries in one big scarf thing. And it was super cool. And you guys have this reliance on one of my favorite and just one of the most powerful prayers that we can say. And you never end your day without relying on this guidance from God. And I feel like that shows your spiritual maturity and your willingness to accept, his direction over all others. The third pillar I wanted to talk about is the intellectual pillar. I know you guys know Joseph's pretty athletic, but he is also a huge nerd. And one of the stories that I like to tell was this year, I showed up at school one day, and Joseph sent a text with a programming problem to me and my brothers. And I was at school, so I turned my phone off. And when the day ended, I had 250 message notifications. That's not an exaggeration. From that one chat. And while that says a lot about, Sam, John, and Peter as well, but I feel like it also shows, in any aspect of knowledge that Joseph has pursued, whether it's programming or calculus or even being on stage, he's willing to danger the storm, figure out the truth behind everything. And that kind of, to me, shows this maturity in the intellectual pillar. And then the fourth pillar is the pastoral formation pillar. And that deals sort of with volunteering, kind of seeing the works of the ministries of the church in all aspects of life. And like I said before, I can't attest to what Mariah and Joe have done at Badger Catholic, but I will never forget them in high school, first seeing them lead Vespers, and everything they gave in those moments. It was their heart, their soul, their voice, all of their talents were given to all of their peers. And it was their senior year too. They were giving large hours of their day at the close of their high school years, just to spread God's joy in music and to show people, well, like Father mentioned, to love someone is to see the face of God. Well, you can see the face of God in a lot of different things in life. And I feel like music can be a big one. And so they were sort of allowing people to see this beauty. And so, all of these aspects that would make Joe an excellent priest and husband to the church, I think much more will make him an excellent husband to Mariah. And Mariah, I'm sorry to all of my other in-laws, who I love very much, made the best performance at the 4th of July when I first saw her, and it was incredible. And so I couldn't be any more reason that you're perfect for Joseph. And after all that, I could go on telling stories about Joseph for the rest of the evening and what a wonderful brother he is, but I'd be content to say this. Esther and I, while we were growing up, we would mess around a lot, and Joseph would always say to us, "I'm trying to set a good example." And I just want you to know, Joe, that you have, and you will continue to in this wonderful marriage.